Okay, everybody, let's get started. So my name is Megan Thorpe, and I'm the Marketing and Sales Assistant here at Momentum. So I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, which will be Managing Debtors with ezyCollect. So I just need to advise you that today's webinar will be recorded. And if you haven't already, could you please mute your phones by pressing *6. So basically today's webinar will run for about 20 or so minutes. And then we'll have question time at the end. So when it does come to question time, you can unmute your phone by pressing #6. Okay, so managing debtors with ezyCollect. So ezyCollect is basically an MYB EXO add-on that allows you to automate your entire receivables and debt collection process. So today we've got a guest speaker with us, AJ Singh, who is the founder of ezyCollect. So he's going to take us through a demonstration of the software today. So what I'll do is I'll pass it over to AJ and he can get started and tell you a little bit more about ezyCollect and what it can do for MYB EXO clients.
Okay, thank you, Megan, and good morning, everyone. My name is AJ, as you mentioned, and I'm the Managing Director and Founder of ezyCollect. Now, fundamentally, before we get started and we start talking about the actual product and showing you what ezyCollect actually does, I'd like to spend a few minutes giving you a bit of a background as to, what is the problem that we're actually trying to solve. And, before I started ezyCollect, I ran a manufacturing and a wholesale business. So it could be similar to some of you on the call today. And in that business, when I joined the business, when you join any business, the focus tends to be on sales and on how you can grow the business. And as any business owner, that was my focus too. And we took it from a business that was doing about $2 million a year turnover to about $10 million in about 3 years. And as a business, that was, great for us. We had a great team and we, grew very, very fast in a very short period of time. But what happened was because we were so focused on sales and growing our business, we kind of forgot the importance of actually collecting the money that was owed to us. Not so much forgot, but we put less emphasis. We had not such good process, not very good controls around the collection process. And as a result, we ended up having a big cash flow deficit, and we had to find ways of plugging the hole. And as most businesses do, 2 or 3 options that everyone looks at. One is, okay, let me look at debtor finance or some sort of invoice finance or some sort of bank loan or overdraft facility, which does solve the problem in the short term, but it's very, very expensive. In my business, we had to go down the path of debtor finance, and we spent close to $200,000 in just interest costs and bank costs to fund our overdue accounts receivable, which was $1 million on a $10 million turnover. So that's not sustainable. It really impacts your bottom line EBITDA, and it means as a business you're actually not making money. Then what a lot of businesses do is we look at having full-time accounts people, which really is a great way to solve the problem, but it's just very manual. If you have a couple hundred debtors, or even if you have 50 debtors, sending emails to all your customers, following them up, calling them up, sending emails again, it's just such a manual process that has to be a better way of actually doing it. And, having someone doing that is great, and you still need someone to manage your customers. You can make them more effective and more efficient by using technology. So these are some of the problems that we faced in my last business, and I was lucky enough to sell that business. I was doing my MBA, and we had some time to reflect on the problem, and that's how ezyCollect started. It was a technology solution that we said needs to be available to small and medium businesses that were once only available to the big end of town. So, for example, with Telstra, if you don't pay your bill, you get an SMS after 2 days. It's very proactive. It's not waiting till the end of the month, for you to get a statement from like Telstra. As soon as you're overdue by 1 day, bang, you've got a reminder on your SMS. Maybe a few days later, you'll get an email in your inbox. A few days later, you might get a phone call from a Telstra person. That sort of automation where it mixes both people and process and technology is the best way to actually get paid faster. It's about being a lot more proactive in your debt collection while still using the people that you have, but making them more efficient, using the technology that's out there that's very, very cost effective to ensure that you get paid faster. And on my screen that you're seeing at the moment, these are some of the results that you'll see within the first couple of months of using ezyCollect. You'll reduce your overdue debtors by about 50%. You'll reduce bad debt, things that you have to write off, by over 90%. And hopefully you can improve your staff utilization by over 70%. And all this is not rocket science. It's all about the basic principle of consistent, persistent, proactive follow-up. There's a term that we use, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. The more you can yell and shout in a proactive, polite manner, you get paid faster. And the whole system is, as Megan mentioned, is a add-on to MYBXO. So it's always connected. So once it's installed, which is a fairly quick process, can take less than a few days. It's always synchronizing, or what we call connected to your accounting system. So it's there's no need for you to be having any data entry or any duplication of data. It's just synchronizing. So any new payments, invoices are automatically synced. And then you can set up, and which I'll show you today, a schedule to magically chase your payers. It sends reminders to your customers on your terms, on your branding. And it's also got other what we call connected features, like you can do payments that are part of the system, so you can actually collect payments from your customers. You can do debt collection, legal escalation. So there's a whole bunch of features to, I guess, make your whole ecosystem of credit management a lot simpler. So I'm going to flick over to an actual demo, and I'll keep it fairly high level because I'll keep this whole demo down to under 15 minutes. I know it's Friday morning, everyone has probably a lot to do. So we'll go high level through the demo, and if anyone has any questions, you can just maybe ask it at the end of the demo. And if you feel I'm going too fast or you can't hear me, then please just speak up and we'll try and slow it down. So ezyCollect is a web-based product. So even though MYBXO is a server-based product, ezyCollect, the technology is such that it connects to XO, and you can view all your data in ezyCollect on any web browser, on your phone, on your tablet. And what you're looking at here is your, I guess, main company pulse screen. And fundamentally, this is all dummy data, by the way, but fundamentally, when you first log in, you'll see a quick snapshot of your business as of the last sync. So it syncs every day automatically. So what you'll see here, and by the way, this is an old sync because this is just all dummy data, but typically it'll be syncing every day. And what you see here is just what's happening in your business, how much money is overdue. You can look at it graphically. You can look at it by specific customers. You can look at a few things like who are my biggest customers, who are my oldest customers. And one thing I mentioned to you previously is about this concept of connected services. What we want to do is make credit management easy. So one aspect is obviously sending emails and SMSs and managing customers that way. But a big thing is also about having other tools at your fingertips. One thing that people tell us a lot is, when you bring on a new customer, how do you know, apart from the trade references, if they're actually a good credit risk? So we've integrated things like automated credit checks. So you can put in a customer's ABN, click submit, and within a few seconds, you'll get back a credit report on the ABN sent back into your email. So it's giving you a bit more of a sort of educated decision on whether you should give that person $5,000 credit or $10,000 or $50,000, more than just the trade references which they supply you, which are always good and tend to be more reactive. This is all about being proactive when it comes to credit management. Okay, so there's a bunch of tabs up the top here that you can see on my screen. What I'll do is I'll go to the very last tab that says settings, and I'll show you how a typical business can set up their let's call it communication plan with their customers really simply. So once ezyCollect is actually installed into your XO database, it only takes about 1 to 2 hours to get ezyCollect up and running in the way you want it to work. So it's a very quick setup time, and that's one of the real benefits of using this system, because you as a business don't have time to learn a whole new technology, start learning a new software program. You want something that's easy, that's going to run in the background and save you time, and not be a technology nightmare for you. So what you're looking at here is your communication rules, and this is an example of how you can set up a communication plan to chase your debtors automatically. Again, like I mentioned at the start of the call, one of the keys to getting paid faster is about consistent, persistent follow-up in as many different ways of different methods possible. So what you can see, for example, is you have a list of different types of communication that you can use. So if I select email, that'll be an email that'll come from your own email address. That'll be sent to your customer on a schedule that you set up here and the words that you want to use. So, for example, my first follow-up can be an email. I can say my second follow-up can be an email again. My third follow-up might want to be a phone call, and I'll show you how the phone calls work in a few minutes. You might then want SMS as one of your follow-ups, fax. You can even choose mail. Mail is a very interesting feature because that's an actual letter by Australia Post. So if you select mail, it'll automatically send that fourth follow-up to Australia Post, who will print, fold, and stamp that letter automatically and send it to your customer the same day. So it's really about automating that whole process so you spend less time. And mail is a very effective way to chase customers because no one really does it anymore. It's a very quiet medium, like no one actually, when you send a letter, people will open and generally respond. But it's just showing you have different options here that you can use in your business. The next column is really when you want to send the follow-up to your customer. Now, the whole system is based on the concept of your due date. Now, you have you'll have different customers in EXO with different terms, and so we read what the due date is for all the different customers. So, for example, let's say you have a 30-day net customer, which means if you invoice someone on the 1st of April, it will be due on the 30th of April. So if I make that value, say, 3 days, that means on the 3rd of May, it'll automatically send that first email. And that's about that proactive follow-up that I mentioned earlier. You don't want to wait till the end of the month to send that statement to that customer. Once they're, say, 3 days, or give them, say, 5 days grace period, you want to be on top of them. You want to say, hey, okay, you're currently overdue. Why haven't you paid? You could then send your next email maybe, 6 days after that previous email. You might then say, I'll make a call after 7 days. And for each of these steps, you'll see you have different templates. Now, each of these templates are words that you can use, and you can brand them in your own company branding so that when your customer gets these automated follow-ups, they look like they're coming from you, even though they're coming from us from the ezyCollect system automatically, but they actually think they're coming from you because it comes from your outgoing email address. It comes with your branding. So if I, for example, click on one of these templates, what you can see here is we actually pre-fill this with some suggested best practice wording. So we've partnered with a debt collection firm and asked them to give us, what are the best or most successful templates that we can use to actually get people to respond to your emails. And we keep changing this, and we keep educating you with words that you can use and what's the best day to send things. For example, Tuesday at 11 a.m. is a great time to send emails because we, for some reason, have the best, like open rates. Weekends are the next best time to send emails. So these are the kind of things that you can use to really improve your response rates. So what you can see here, for example, is a example of a email template. So in your subject line, you can put in whatever you like as, this is a friendly reminder from your company. And then in your body of your message, we have what we call merge fields, which are fields that are going to pull data from your EXO database, and also fields that are what we call calculated fields that we've made to make it useful for you in your template. So for example, if I want to add, say, the customer's business name, I would simply go here, click on customer business name, add to content, and you can see it's added here on the top there. I can make that bold, and you can see, for example, we have fields such as overdue invoice amounts, total overdue. So if I click on preview, what it does, it'll go and take all the information and show you an example of what that would look like when your customer gets it. So for example, let's say, dear parent, this is in this case, dear parent, but others would say attention accounts department, or you can do dear first name and last name. You can really personalize it if you want to, or if your data in EXO is that good, you can personalize it. And you can say this is a formal reminder that your account's more than 405 days overdue for this much money, and then it will actually list every invoice, the date of the invoice, number of days overdue, how much is the value of the invoice, and how much is owing on the invoice. So it's actually going to consolidate the follow-ups into one email. So if your customer has 10 overdue invoices, it's going to put it into one email. It won't send your customer 10 emails for every invoice. It has the smarts to actually consolidate that into one particular email. And what you'll notice is there's a little Pay Now button here as well, which is a really effective way to get paid faster. So in every template, you can add a Pay Now button if you want to, wherever you want to put it. And that's used as a way to actually physically collect payment from your customers 24/7. You know, a lot of businesses, and I was guilty of this in my last business too, which was that manufacturing business. We had that old FPOS machine terminal, and customers had to call us in, and we would have to take the credit card details over the phone, and we'd put it into our XO notes field or into our MYB notes field. And, you know, then at the end of the day, when we had some time, we would process the payment and, oh, hang on, it's the wrong number or something's not working. We call the customer back. Oh, it's after 5 o'clock. They've left for the day. So it's a very manual process if you were going to take payments over the phone manually. So what we thought was, because our whole system is about helping you to get paid faster, on top of the actual automated reminders, we said, hey, let's introduce a payment gateway such that you can give your customers a button that goes in every email reminder. And by the way, you can use this button on your website. You can put it on your XO invoices, such that when your customer gets a follow-up to actually pay, they can press this button. It'll take them to a payment page which will be branded with their own branding, so i.e. with your own branding, and then your customer can, on the weekend, at midnight, put in how much they want to pay, put in the different invoice numbers that they're paying, right, and their business name, put in the payment method, and then hit process payment, and it's done. What that will do will take the money from their account, that same day. It'll go into your account the next day. They'll get a receipt, and then every day you'll get a report of who's actually paid you, so you can then reconcile in XO very, very easily, because you'll know the actual business that's paid you, and you'll know which invoices that they're paying. So it makes your job a lot easier with the reconciliation. Now, a question which some of you might be thinking is, can we do payments by bank debit as well? So you can set up payment plans and direct debits and recurring payment plans using both credit card and bank debit. For the one-off payments, it's only through credit card, but you can set up payment plans with a click of a button. It's really, really simple for you to actually use this facility to manage all your recurring payments or promise to pay, all that sort of stuff. Okay, I'll go a bit faster because I'm getting a bit behind schedule here, but basically this one small thing is a very, very useful feature for small businesses and medium businesses to get paid faster. And an interesting stat I'd share with you is we're seeing a lot of payments on weekends. So what we figure is maybe business owners are putting their kids to bed, and they've got some time in the evenings. They'll log in and they'll do their payments. And of course, people do EFT payments as the majority, but people who can accept credit card payments, we find, are getting paid at a higher rate, because people can use their credit card, they get points, they get extra 30 days, credit. So, and if you choose to absorb the fees, then, it's a no-brainer for customers to pay by like credit card. And it's cheaper than you having to use, debtor finance or bank loans. The last thing about these templates that I want to mention is you can also automatically attach overdue invoices, because how often do customers say to you, as a reason to delay payment, is, I didn't get a copy of the invoice, please resend it to me. So now with this, if you just tick the button on that template, it will automatically attach a copy of the overdue invoice from your XO database with that email that's automatically sent. So now your customer really has no excuse to pay you on time. They've got all the details, they've got the Pay Now button, and they've got a copy of all the overdue invoices all in one nice email. And then like that, you can set up a series of follow-ups like emails, SMSs, and phone calls. And that's the next thing I want to talk to you about, is the actual phone calls, because phone calls are really important in the process of, chasing money. You need to have that person that can manage the relationship, manage the, promise to pays, manage the disputes. So when a call is due, so typically what will happen is you'll see a couple of emails go first and then a call is due. And what's interesting, those first two emails generally will reduce your call load by about 40%, because these are the people that will pay anyway, but they need a couple of gentle, polite emails to say, hey, by the way, we haven't received payment, and they'll pay. So before you even get to that stage of making a phone call, you as an accounts person or your accounts people will have hopefully reduced your workload by around 40%. which is a massive saving in time and labor and, hopefully makes you more efficient. So when a call's due, you'll get an email sent to your inbox saying, please make these, 20 calls today. So what you need to do then is log into ezyCollect and go to your tasks. So your task is really a list of all the calls that you have to make. And here what you'll see, some calls are overdue, which need to be made in the past. Some calls are due in the coming days. So let's say I want to call, Christina. I simply click on her name here, and it'll take me from the Your Task page over to this page, which we call the Customer page. And on the Customer page, what's, I guess interesting is all the data from your EXO database will automatically come across here. So you don't have to flick between EXO and ezyCollect when it comes to managing your communication. So this would replace the contact log in EXO. You would use this for everything going forward, right? So you have all your contact information, and you can have multiple contacts, and you can have the email going to more than one person if you want to. And what's very interesting here is you have a graphical representation of your communication plan, and you can see what step you're up to. That's in the green arrow, and then very importantly, the history of everything that's ever happened is actually being recorded here on the bottom here. So what that means is any email sent, any thank yous, anything that has happened is saved. And if you want to view what's actually happened, simply click on the message. Like let's say I want to see the first follow-up email that was sent. I can see who it got sent to, when it got sent, and what got said. Right, and you can see the invoice is actually attached here as well, right? That's the automatic invoice attachment. If I click on that little invoice attachment, you can see the invoice I got sent with that email, and you can see it's completely pulling the correct format from their own database. Now, when I have to make my actual phone call, it's a really simple process. All I need to do is click on this complete button, put in the date, so let's say the 15th. I can say, spoke to Paul. These are my notes, right? Said he was paying next week, lying as usual, right? That's your private note. You click complete, and that will save that note into the history, which everyone can see, like all your salespeople and all your colleagues. When I hit complete, there'll be a second pop-up that comes up that'll say, do you want to send an email to the customer confirming the phone call? And at that point, you can actually type in an email that'll actually be sent to the customer, and that email can say, hey, we look forward to your payment next week. Thank you very much. And hit save, and that'll save that email in the history and also send the email to the customer at the same time. Now, in that particular case, let's say the customer, promised to pay you at the end of the month. So this is the whole concept of promise to pay. So what you can do then is on the same screen, if someone has promised to pay you, you can scroll to the bottom of the screen where it says customer status, and you can pause a customer, right, till the end of the month. So let's say I'll pause you till the 30th, and the reason is, promise to pay. Now, what happens here, and this is, I think, very useful for accounts people and for, business owners, is you can, what typically happens is when you make a note in your diary, oh, I better call them back on the 1st. The first comes, you get busy, you have to call all your other customers, you just forget to call a customer back. With this promise to pay feature within ezyCollect, on the 30th, it'll check, have they paid? And if they haven't paid, it'll automatically unpause. It'll alert you that, hey, this customer still hasn't paid, they've broken their promise, and it will then automatically start chasing again at the next step for that customer. So you don't have to worry anymore about, hey, I better make a note in my diary and call the customer back on the 1st. The system will automatically do that for you. And if they have paid, it'll automatically just stop chasing the customer. And in fact, there is a feature in the system where if someone does pay you, you can automate thank you messages as well. So you can automatically send a thank you message to your customer when you've marked it as paid within your EXO database. And what you also notice here within ezyCollect, I mentioned to you earlier about having that credit checks as part of the system. You've also got something called demand letter and debt collection as the last two steps. Now, these two steps will never be automated in the sense that when someone has had all the 6 follow-ups and they still haven't paid, you will get an email every 2 weeks saying you have these 15 customers who have reached the stage called demand letter, meaning they haven't responded to your requests for like payment. At that point, if you want to, you can send a couple of emails manually, like some more, emails if you want to, some really what we call manual, a little bit harsher emails, or you can click send demand letter or send to debt collector. What that does is we've got a partnership with both a really great lawyer and a really good debt collection firm that we trust. And if you hit send demand letter, it will send all the history, all the contact notes, all the invoice copies, statements, everything that's happened so far to our lawyer. And then for $30, they can send a demand letter the very same day to your customer. Now, a demand letter, as you probably know, if you ever use it, is at least $90 to $100 from an actual lawyer. Because there's so much volume going through the system, we get a great rate, and we just pass it on to our customers to make it easier for you to manage that process if you want to. Same thing with the debt collection. If you want to use the debt collectors, they take a percentage of what they collect based on success only, and that percentage is between 15 and 20%, or even less if you have a very large, value of debt, and you can work with them directly and work out the rate that you want to pay. But the great thing is it's all integrated in a sense that they get all the copies of the invoices and the contacts, so they don't have to chase you for like information, and you don't have to spend time sending them information about that particular customer. So that sort of integration is really, really useful when it comes to managing the whole what we call credit management cycle. Yeah, the other things I mentioned to you are things like sending statements. You can actually automate the process of sending statements. So you can say on the 1st of every month, I want to automatically send statements to my customers. This is your thank you email for payment, which you can have turned on, which means that you can automatically thank customers when they make a payment, and and you can type whatever you want here. It can be dear accounts department or dear business name or whatever you want. Thank you for your payment off, and it will list all the invoices they've paid and the date they've paid it. So that it's just a nice touchy-feely thing. On top of all of that, you've also got one more thing that I want to show you that I think might be very, very useful for you as a business is this page called Customers Who Owe Me Money. Now, this is the last thing I want to show you because I know I've gone over time here, Megan, so apologies for that. This Customers Who Owe Me Money section is a very useful page for you to manage debtors en masse. So, for example, here you can see all your customers, what the owing is, what's actually overdue. And the great thing about ezyCollect versus EXO when it comes to this is we look at the actual due date when we're managing debtors, not the different aging buckets. So, in EXO sometimes a customer might be 30 days overdue because EXO looks at it as from the invoice date. Within ezyCollect, we look at everything from the due date. So when you look at this customer listing here, you can see all customers, and you can see the total overdue amount as of their due date and the time overdue for their oldest invoice. So now if I want to communicate with certain subset of customers, if I click on Use Advanced Filters, what I can do is things like this. Let's say you have a very long tail of customers, okay, that are, really small value. You can't be bothered chasing them. It's just too hard. You never get around to calling them because you're just too busy. What you can do through ezyCollect in less than 10 seconds, right, is you can say, show me all customers whose time overdue, for example, is greater than, let's say, 90 days, right, and whose balance owing is less than, let's say, $500, and whose, maybe you can say in the demand stage, or you can say, who is also on like credit hold, for example. These are all the things that, you can do. I click Apply Filter, and it'll take those customers that meet that criteria into this smaller list. I can then select I can select all customers in that smaller list. So it's 258 customers that make up that smaller list. I can click on Send Email, and here I can type whatever I want here. I can say, final warning, final warning, right, say this is a final warning that your account's overdue by this much. I can put in whatever merge field that I want to put in there. I can say your account's on hold. And if I click on Preview, I can send an email, right, if I click on Send, to all those 258 customers with a personalized email, right, in less than, honestly, 10 seconds. And that'll go to all those customers. It'll save that email in their history as well on the customer page. such that you have a history of what's actually happened. So if you do go to the path of debt collection or legal, you can see that you've done a number of follow-ups, so that you are completely covered. And, small things like that really save time, and just that will pay for the system many, many times over. The ROI on a system like this is, within the first month or two, you'll pay back the system for the whole year in terms of the improved cash flow, hopefully, the staff efficiency that you'll improve, and your, working capital, in the bank. So that's kind of a quick, overview of the ezyCollect system on how you can use technology to really boost cash flow. We're an XO add-on, and obviously we're partnered with Momentum. And if you want pricing or you want some more information, just look up Megan or the team there, and they can give you the pricing and they can help you get it set up. Typical setup is, within a week, we can have it installed and set up. It uses the MYOB APIs to actually connect to your database. And once it's set up and connected, we can then we give everyone training, and the training is a couple of hours of training, and you can be up and running after that. So Megan, I might hand over back to you.
Great. So can you hear me, AJ?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great, sure. Okay, so thank you very much for that, guys. Now, did anyone have any questions for AJ? If you do need to unmute your phone, you can press #6. No questions? That's all right. Okie dokie. All right, so thank you so much for doing that, AJ, and thanks to everyone for attending today's webinar. So as AJ did mention, if you would like some more information on ezyCollect and, pricing and that sort of stuff, you can get in contact with me. I will send out an email to everyone who registered for the webinar. So you can just, if you do want more info, you can just reply straight back to me. That's not a problem. So thank you very much, and we'll wrap it up. Just a quick webinar for today. And we'll have another one going again in a fortnight. So, yeah, if you do have any more questions, you can always email me. So, yeah, and I think ezyCollect would be very valuable for a lot of businesses, and it could save you a lot of time. So, and I think for the money that you pay, as AJ said, set up very quickly. So, thank you, everyone, and that's it for today. And thanks, AJ.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, everyone.